Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. It's Mr. Irwin here with today's lesson. We're going to dive into the wide world of decimals and cover all the basic operations with those types of rational numbers. Today we're focusing solely on adding and subtracting decimals. Um, Really, I tell my students four-step process to work through questions like this, and you'll see those four steps listed on the screen right now. If you want to take a moment, copy these steps down into your notebook. They may be helpful in guiding you through the problems as we work through this lesson. Step one, just like we did last week with all of our calculations, we want to rewrite this problem in a way that's going to make it easier to work out by hand. In the case of adding and subtracting, we're going to rewrite this problem vertically. And while you're rewriting this problem vertically, step two is going to come into play as well, because you have to make sure that you are lining up the decimal points of all of your numbers, as well as the digits in their appropriate place value columns. If you are nice and neat and keep everything lined up, it's going to ensure you that you're going to have a much greater rate of success with these calculations. So step one and two, rewriting the problem vertically while making sure to line up the decimal points and the appropriate place values. Once you've rewritten the problem, you're ready for step three, add or subtract. Make sure you're looking at the operation. If it's an addition problem, you should probably add the numbers. If it is a subtraction problem, make sure you are doing subtraction. So many times I've seen students just get in the habit of adding every time or subtracting every time, and it causes some errors. You really need to be mindful of the operation or the sign that's in the problem to make sure you're performing the correct operation. Finally, once you've completed the addition or subtraction for the problem, we need to get a decimal point into our answer, since both of these values were in decimal form when we began. If you properly aligned all of your place values in decimal points, you should be able to drop the decimal point straight down into your resulting sum or difference to give you a final answer. Let's try a couple out together. Our first example is 19.235 plus 8.97. Please copy this problem down, work it out with me as I go through it. So just like we said on the previous slide, the first thing we're going to do is rewrite this problem vertically. So I'm starting with 19.235. Operation is addition, so I'm going to place a plus sign. Now, with the 8.97, I need to make sure everything is properly aligned. So I always like to start with this decimal point, and I'm going to put the decimal point in the 8.97 directly under the decimal point in my previous number. And now if I look at this 8 digit, that 8 is in the ones place. So make sure the 8 in your problem goes in the ones place. And to keep it in the ones place means it's going to go directly under the 9. This 9 in the 8.97 is in the tenths place. Place it in the tenths place under the 2, and the 7 is in the hundredths place. It goes under the 3. This gap at the end of the problem, it's totally up to you. You can leave it blank, or because there is no value there, you can plug in a 0 if it makes you feel better to have it all filled out. Either way, you should be good to go. Now that we have the problem rewritten vertically with everything appropriately aligned, it's time to just add. So I'm starting over in the place value column furthest to the right, in this case the thousandths place. We're going to add 5 plus 0 to get 5, and then working my way to the left, 3 plus 7 is 10. I write the 0 and carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 9 gives me 12. I'm going to write the 2, carry the 1. 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 8 more is 18, writing the 8 and carrying the 1. And in my final column, the tens place, 1 plus 1 is 2. So we've completed the addition. Don't get too excited yet. We're not done. We have to make sure that because these decimal points were lined up in the addition problem, we're going to drop that decimal point straight down. And in this case, it's going to fall directly between the 8 and the 2. So your final sum is 28.205. All right, on to example number 2. This time we have 8.024 minus 7.9. Again, please copy this down on a sheet of paper and work through it with me. So I'm going to start by rewriting this vertically. 8.024 minus, and making sure that everything is properly aligned, I'm going to take that decimal point, place it directly below my other decimal point, which puts the 7 under the 8 and the 9 under this 0. If you're not cool about this gap, under the 2 and the 4, you can fill those with zeros. And now we are ready to subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. 2 minus 0 is 2. 0 minus 9, I can't do it, so I'm going to hop over a place value and borrow from this 8. I'm going to borrow 1 from the 8. It will become a 7, and when I bring that 1 over a place value column to the right, it grows by a factor of 10. So I'm adding 10 to 0, meaning that 0 becomes a 10. Now let's try this subtraction again. 10 minus 9 is 1, and 7 minus 7 is 0. Final step, we are dropping that decimal point straight down into our difference. Final answer is 0.124. All right, example 3, we have 18 plus 6.37. We want to rewrite this problem vertically, so I'm going to start with the 18 on top, plus now. In all of our previous examples, when we were rewriting the problem vertically, I always suggested lining up your decimal points. Well, the whole number 18, you can't see the decimal point in it, but it is there. If you're ever given a whole number where the decimal point is invisible, it will always be at the very end of the number. So think of 18 as like 18.0. The decimal point is behind the 8. So if you want to add that decimal point into your vertical alignment, that should help you keep all your place values straight up and down. Placing the decimal point in the 6.37 directly below my other decimal point. 6 is in the ones place, keep it in the ones place under the 8, and then we have 3, 7. Again, I would suggest filling in your blank place value columns with zeros. And now we're ready to add. 0 plus 7 is 7, 0 plus 3 is 3, 8 plus 6 is 14, carrying the 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, and now I'm going to drop my decimal point straight down into my sum. Final answer, 24.37. All right, last example of the lesson, 72.06 minus 3.2. You should know what to do by now, but please follow along with me. Work it out on your sheet of paper as I complete the problem here as well. Rewriting vertically, 72.06 minus, lining my decimal points up. 3 is in the ones place, 2 is in the tenths place. If you need a 0 to fill in that gap to make you happy, go for it. Now let's subtract. 6 minus 0 is 6. 0 minus 2 can't happen, so I'm borrowing. I'm going to borrow from the 2. The 2 will become a 1, and the 0 will become a 10. Now subtracting 10 minus 2, we get 8. Over to the ones column, 1 minus 3 not happening, so I need to come and borrow from the 7. The 7 will become a 6, and the 1 will become an 11. Now we are subtracting 11 minus 3 to get 8, and 6 minus nothing is 6. Don't forget decimal point, chop straight down. Correct difference, 68.86. Okay, to finish out the lesson, I have 4 more problems for you to try on your own. Please copy them down on a sheet of paper, pause the video, work them out on your own. Once you've completed all 4, begin playing the video again and check your work against mine to see how you did. All right, number 1, rewriting vertically, 507. Remember, the decimal point in 507 is behind the 7 because you can't see it, so put it there to help you line everything up. Lining up our decimal points here gives me 16.9. I'm going to plug a 0 in up top just to make everything nice and balanced. Now I'm subtracting. 0 minus 9 can't happen, so I'm borrowing from the 7. The 7 will become a 6. The 0 will become a 10. And now let's subtract that tenths place. 10 minus 9 gives me 1. Over to the ones column, I have 6 minus 6 is 0. In the tens column, 0 minus 1, it's time to borrow. We're borrowing from the 5. It becomes a 4, and that 0 becomes a 10. So now 10 minus 1 is 9, and 4 minus nothing is 4. Decimal point drops straight down, 40.91 for the first problem. Number 2, 0.235. Lining up my decimal points means I have a 10 way out here. 0.8, the 8 under the 2 in the tenths place. We are adding. I'm going to fill in zeros here to make everything nice and cozy, and it's time to add. 5 plus 0 is 5. 3 plus 0 is 3. 2 plus 8 is 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 0 plus 0 is 1. And 1 plus nothing is 1. Don't forget your decimal point. Drop straight down into your sum. 11.035 for that problem. All right, next problem down here on the bottom left. Helps if I grab the pen tool. 4.003 minus, lining up my decimal points, 3.9, plugging in zeros here. First column, 3 minus 0 is 3, 0 minus 0 is 0, 0 minus 9 can't happen, so I am borrowing. The 4 becomes a 3, the 0 a 10. Now 10 minus 9 is 1, and 3 minus 3 is 0. Decimal point straight down, final difference, 0.103. All right, final problem. 45.96 plus, lining my decimal points up, 3, 5, 5, 9. I got a gap up here. I'm going to fill it with a 0. And let's add 0 plus 9 is 9. 6 plus 5 is 11. I'm going to write the 1 and carry the 1. 1 plus 9 plus 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 1, 5, and 3 is 9. And 4 plus 0 is 4. Decimal point straight down. Final sum of the lesson, 49.519. Hope you guys did well. Make sure you complete the independent practice associated with adding and subtracting decimal points. Take a picture of your work and upload it for submission. I'll see you next time.